The Crypt interviews in association with Mayo Leisure Point Castle Bar.
You're listening to The Crypt, and my very special guest on the show today is Lisa Wilcox, who played Alice in A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. So you're very welcome to the show, Lisa.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Rita.
Well, first I'll start off by asking, how did you come about to be cast in the role of Alice?
Well, that's an interesting story. Actually, I was pretty much fresh out of college. Yes, I was in my 20s playing, 15, 16-year-old girl, Alice, of course. And but I was this virgin, bright blonde hair, all the makeup. Think of the 80s times 10,
Yeah.
And that was my headshot. So through college, I had gotten a manager and I had gotten an agent. And so, of course, they submitted me for the role. And, I didn't look anything like what Alice would be, So, anyway, Annette Benson, who actually cast Nightmare on Elm Street, is the one who told me the story, actually, of how it all came about. So, anyway, so after they had auditioned over 600 actresses, again, this is from Annette, they hadn't found Alice yet. So they went through their leftovers, which I was, in the dumpster, basically. And I finally had the opportunity to actually audition. Now, of course, as an actress, we can look many ways. We hope that we're chameleons to a degree, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I went in with greasy hair, no makeup. I wore my worst color, which is pale yellow, by the way. And I auditioned. And then I had one callback on a Friday. And then I was getting married that Sunday. And I learned on my honeymoon that I had booked the role of Alice.
Oh, what a fantastic wedding present.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And were you a fan of the movies before getting the role?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew Nightmare 1, 2, 3, loved, I was a huge fan. I've always been a fan of horror, and the first novel I ever read was actually Dracula. I think I was in 4th grade or something. Reading it in the middle of the night with my electric blanket light under the sheet. So, yes, I was already a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, yes.
Well, one of my favourite things about Nightmare 4 was how Alice took on the qualities of her friends each time one of them died. That must have been great to play as an actor, because the Alice we meet at the start of the movie is like chalk and cheese to Alice at the end.
Yep. Quite an arc, happens with Alice for sure, which was, that's a dream role to play for any actor, absolutely, to have a character arc. And it was interesting when you mentioned taking on the personalities or certain qualities of my friends. I literally had to write in my script on every page who had died and whose characteristics I had, because obviously we don't shoot, we don't film in order of the scenes, right? We'd be doing scene 52 and scene 2 the same day. So I had to try to do my best to sort of diary my script as far as, okay, I'm at this level now, I've got three of my friends' qualities, So, it was a great script, really, really beautiful script, I feel.
Well, even though you had stunt doubles, playing Alice was quite physically demanding. Did you have to do any specific training for certain scenes?
Well, interesting enough, myself and Andras, who plays my brother, Andras Jones, who played Rick, they did send both of us to a day of karate school and, learn some moves, learn how to, handle the nunchucks so I wouldn't hit myself in the head, or anyone else for that matter. So, yes, there was. And I knew some gymnastics, so, I was able to at least start some of the stunts, like in the church scene, when I did the cartwheel, and then, of course, an amazing dynamic, stunt double, finished the rest. I had amazing stunt doubles, by the way, like Olympiads were stunt doubles. So, yeah, we had great support there.
Well, I think the killing of Freddie in part 4 was probably my favourite one of all of them. Can you talk a bit about that scene, kind of special effects-wise, with the chest of souls?
Oh, yeah. we did quite a bit of filming in the church set, and the puppeteers and whatnot with the souls. I mean, really amazing. And there were literally puppeteers. Remember, like, and his mouth gets pulled open by this little hand and arm. That's a puppeteer working all of that. So it took quite a bit of coordination, and obviously to have everyone sort of hidden so you couldn't see things going on, you know. Yeah, some really amazing special effects back then that, you know, even now, I saw the film recently and I was like, you know, it kind of holds up, you know. I think it holds up. Yeah, kind of ahead of their time.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, hands off to all that production. Howard Berger, you know, everyone who did all that. Oh, another one of my favorite special effects is pizza.
Oh, yeah. I think that's one of everybody's favorites.
I love that scene. I mean, seriously, the pizza moved. Like, the little sausages were moving. I mean, how the heck did they do that? It was really amazing.
Do you know, with all the special effects that were on the movie and working to deadlines, could it get quite stressful at times trying to get it right?
Well, you know, they really tested it, you know, before we're actually on set filming. I would have to say it went quite smoothly, very smoothly.
Yeah.
There's the scene, too, where you talk about the chest, you know, in the church scene. So, of course, there's Robert Englund with the chest and the throbbing heads and faces and whatnot. But then they have the huge Freddy, and I talk huge, like, I don't know, 15 feet high, where they actually had live actors in this body. How they did this is amazing. You know, pushing through and this and that to get, you know, that effect. Now, I was there part of the day, I think, for that huge Freddy. I did hear that I think it did eventually topple over. However, they were able to get no injuries, and they were able to get the shots they needed to make it look believable, like there were really people inside Freddy.
Yeah. Watching Never Sleep Again, the documentary about Nightmare on Elm Street, they were saying that in part 5 there were constant script changes during the making of that installment. So was that quite difficult when it came to learning your lines?
Well, you know, it becomes kind of just, you just know that's going to happen, whether it's a film or soap opera or whatever you're doing. That so yes, it is a challenge, but you really do have to learn how to, like, work that brain muscle and just have it down. Like, you can just memorize anything on the spot and you do it, you know. And it does take practice to get that brain to work that way, you know. And there's little tricks, like, you know, you can be reading a magazine and then just test yourself and memorize 2 sentences of an article. You know what I mean? Read it and then test yourself, you know. And the more you do that, the more you are able to it becomes just automatic, you know, to memorize.
And then what was it like for you getting to wear the Freddy makeup?
Oh boy, I'll never forget that day. I had to wear the makeup for about 12 hours. And it's interesting how it makes your face so big. You know, I'm like, my gosh. And yeah, it's like, you know, the Elephant Man, is that like too wrong to say? But you really, it's like this big face thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not fun. I mean, you don't want to look in the mirror because you will scare yourself. And then just eating or drinking something. You have to use a straw to drink anything. And your lips are all kind of crusty. And you know, and then you got to sit in the chair, you know, having all that stuff done. So God bless Robert for all the patience he's had all those years, you know, sitting in that chair, getting it done. And you met Robert, you had mentioned, and Robert's a very animated guy and high energy. So I really have to give him
to be able to sit still for that long.
Yeah, because his took like 4.5 hours. Yeah. Mine didn't take as long. What took longer actually was the old age makeup that I did in 4.
Yeah.
Because they had to, you know, they tried different ways to crunch up my skin. Well, I was a young woman, you know, I didn't have much to crunch up, you know. So ultimately they did have to do like some full-on prosthetics for that. But it took like 3 different kinds of applications on different days to get the old age Alice effect that they wanted.
Can you talk a bit about how they did that scene where you and Freddie were stuck together?
We did. We had a scene where we're just like kind of holding each other, sort of thing, you know. Mm-hmm. But the majority of that was done by a stunt double, a little person, you know, who played Alice. So a majority of that scene was done by a stunt double. They did do some shots of me for like blue screen, you know, so they could have my face in there. But again, a lot of that was done by a stunt double. Kind of messy.
And what would have been your favorite of the two movies, 4 and 5?
Well, gosh, that's trying to choose between your favorite child, right? You know, gee, Bob or Mary? Okay. I would have to say, you know, Nightmare 4, simply because of the character development and the incredible character arc that Alice went through, from being such a shy wallflower gal, you know, and then really owning it and becoming like a powerhouse, you know. Yeah. Of course, with the assistance of her friends, but also from her finding it in her to fight for her life and fight for her friends. So I'd have to say that. Now, Nightmare 5 is very interesting because there was a lot of social commentary going on about a single teenage mother. What power do parents have? What choice does a teenager have or not have? You know, and then Dan, of course, dies. You know, don't drink and drive. You know, I mean, there were a lot of social commentary, done in 5, which I found really admirable for them to tackle the subject matter.
Well, then, if you could play the final girl, heroine-type role in any other movie, who would it be and why?
You know, that's very interesting because it was just brought to my attention a few days ago that MSN, don't know if you have MSN, but anyway, it's a big news company, you know. Yeah. They actually wrote up the top 25 horror heroines, and I was number 9.
Very good.
Out of the 25, I know. So, so with that, yeah. So with that said, final girl, I would love to be an alien. Okay, Sigourney Weaver, she was number 1 heroine. That's where I'd have to go. Absolutely.
Well, then you were also in the webisodes of Fear Clinic with Robert Englund, Kane Hodder, and Danielle Harris. Was it strange working with Robert then, out of the Freddie makeup?
Absolutely. I kept looking at him going, something's wrong with you. You're missing something. Like, I don't know who you are. You know? Yeah, it was, well, one, a thrill to be able to, like, play with each other that way. I'm the nurse, he's the doctor, we've got all this stuff going on. But yeah, it was very interesting. And I have to say, in Fear Clinic, I love the wardrobe in Fear Clinic. I just think it's so absolutely sort of, you know, German-esque, you know, it's dark and very, very interesting wardrobe. And the lighting was, I thought, also very interesting. And what a really very cool concept, you know, the fact that you could even solve someone's nightmares.
I thought they were fantastic, them webisodes. Anybody who hasn't watched them should definitely check them out. They were really, really good. I really enjoyed them, so I did. And it's great to see the various stars in it.
Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And, you know, how fun to have Kane Hodder and Danielle Harris and Robert Englund. And, you know, it was just like sort of felt epic to me. You know what I mean? I was like, this is very cool. And we've got Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street all working together, you know.
And Kane and Danielle are so lovely. They're so nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's sweet. She's awesome. She's a little spitfire, that girl.
Well, then, out of all, you've been in an absolute ton of TV shows. Knots Landing, Walker, Texas Ranger, MacGyver, Star Trek, Murder, She Wrote. That's just to name but a few of them. What was your favourite one to work on and why?
Gosh, I really loved the character in Walker, Texas Ranger. It was actually a Christmas episode. They played it in December. And just playing the character of the nun and Sister Mary Grace, it was really amazing. We filmed in Texas. Walker, Texas filmed in Texas, and it was this beautiful church. And I love the monologue I say to my brother, because we were separated and he's gone to the dark side, and I'm on the good light side. I just really enjoyed that story, and that his character arc change. Where he realized his wrongs and accepted God, or just forgiveness. Period. Just forgiving himself. So I'd have to say that was I really loved that role.
And of course, I have to ask you what it was like working on MacGyver. I think he was the first crush for any girl from the 80s.
and I'm raising my hand right there. Hello. He was absolutely a delight. He's even better looking in person. Tall, dynamic, just mellow, cool. No attitude whatsoever. It was great. What fun! Hello, the MacGyver episode. Oh my gosh, it was pretty awesome. Along the way, that was one of my earlier roles as an actress, and you get starstruck too. You know what I mean? I remember when I worked with George Clooney. That was something else. Mark Hamill. I did a movie called Watchers, and it's the one closely related to the Dean Koontz book, Watchers. Great, awesome book. If you've never read it, guys, go read this book, Watchers. It's great. And they did a few of the Watchers movies, but this one was closely related. But I'll never forget my first day of filming with Mark Hamill, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm here. This is crazy. It's Luke Skywalker. Oh my gosh. Okay, Lisa, stay calm. So anyway.
I'm like that before every interview.
Hey, we're all the same. Well
then, are you working on any projects at the moment?
Yes, I am. I actually completed a film called Klinger, and it's premiering actually in Los Angeles at the Wilshire Laemmle on November 12th. It was actually also accepted at the Slam Dance Film Festival in Park City, Utah, which was a really big deal. And I got to go to that festival for the first time earlier this year. And and it also opened in New York just on last Friday. And it already had a showing in Texas. So that's happening. I'm also working on a project called Nightmares with Kane Hodder once again.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and Lance Henriksen from Terminator, from Alien. So this is a really fun, excellent project. Also working on something called Red Hollow, which I'll be filming in Canada next year, and another project called William Frost, which will be filmed in Palm Springs and Los Angeles, California. And there's more. Yeah,
so you're very busy.
Yeah, this year's been pretty amazing. Another film that I did, another one in Texas actually, by Mel House. It's called The New Blood, and that is going to have, I think it's going to be a Lionsgate release next year. It's been in post for about over a year. It used to be called Imago, but it's now called The New Blood, but that is going to be released. Oh, and another film called The Church, which I filmed in Philadelphia. And that'll be, so keep your eyes and ears open for that one too. So yeah, lots of work.
Excellent. And where can people keep up to date with all things Lisa Wilcox?
That's so interesting because I had my Facebook page, and it was just it was a friend page, but it ended up becoming a fan page. And they don't let you, there's a limit to how many friends you can have, right? Yeah. So it was just recently changed to actor/director, so I could have unlimited, quote, friends, that guess what, I learned that they're not friends now, that people just like it. So you can go to Lisa E. Wilcox, I think if you just search that on Facebook, please go there. Like whatever you like, that would be awesome. And I'm doing postings there, but I'm still learning how to use it because it is a little bit different than my old regular friend Facebook page.
It is.
But that's a good place. And IMDb too. Please go for it. Check me out. And I'm working on updating my resume there and getting it current. So I I kind of took a break from acting for a while, but I'm back to doing it full time as of about a couple months ago. So
from the sounds of all the projects you have, you're going to be very busy for quite some time.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's kind of what happened. It like just kind of came out like out of the woodwork, all these projects, and I'm like, I think it's time to go back to this full time. So that's what I'm doing.
And do you do a lot of conventions, Lisa?
Yeah, I do. I have, I'm doing one in San Antonio, Texas in January. Then I'll be doing a couple in, I think it's April, in Denver. Yeah, I've got 3 booked already. I'm actually working with Robert England's booking agent. So you'll be seeing Robert and I out there on a few conventions for sure.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been great fun.
Oh my gosh, totally fun. It's been great meeting you, Rita, and hello to everybody out there in Ireland.
The Crypt interviews in association with Mayo Leisure Point Castle Bar.